This is just the guts of a Harbor Freight heat gun, item 96289, 1500 watt, and typical Harbor Freight crappy. First off, this common wire for the heating element, which at 1500 watts is carrying about 12.5 amperes. It's 20 gauge, and it's marked as being allegedly 392 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know if the markings are going to show up. Come on, drop right, yep, there. There are 20 degrees centigrade, which is 392 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, it feels like high temperature insulation, so that might be legit. Well, at least as far as being able to handle 12.5 amperes without compromising the insulation, given that it's in contact with the housing, which is just typical acrylonitrile butadiene styrene, which, if you don't know what that is, that's what ABS stands for. Aren't really practices that you'd expect to see with wires operating at those kinds of temperatures. Just a small DC permanent magnet motor being used to run the fan. Ningbo Hwana with a Grace Bridge board on the rectifier, just a little Bodge PCB on the back of the motor, and a couple of ceramic caps there with a really crappy setting out of the motor housing. That's just EMI suppression. And the heating element is in there. What was somewhat interesting about this is that this actually has two heating elements. The one where it's a very thin wire wrapped around a fiberglass strands that you can see, and then there's the ones that you can kind of see in the back there, which are just coiled resistance wire. Ordinarily in something like this, or what I expected to see was something like this is just a random scrap piece of paper because I've got a bunch of these lying around because I just installed a bunch of lights in the garden today. But what I was expecting is something like that, where you've got the heating element, and then the motor is just tapped on that, and using the heating element as a potential divider just to run the motor. But it looks like this. They've got the motor in series with a separate resistance, which is somewhat unusual, but and there's a thermal fuse there, which allegedly a thermal fuse, some kind of possibly high temperature plastic, don't know exactly what it is. There's a mark on the blower impeller, which is made of the same type of material. PA6GF30, I don't know if the GF might be glass filled, this might be something like, I don't know, some kind of glass reinforced plastic or something. Focus, you turd. Thank you. And see bits of mold flash, again, not very probably finished. And the switch, again, dinky wiring. Now the black one is just one of the leads heading out to the motor. So that one wouldn't need to be really high current, but the red one, which is for the main heating element, that's meh. And of course, this is one of these really crappy ways of just doing a half power type of thing, where you just have a half-wave rectifier, and on the low power setting you just run it through the rectifier. It's a 1N5408, which is a 3 ampere diode. I think there's probably 1000 volts, don't really remember those particular part number series, but yeah, 3 amperes at marginal. And that's probably the culprit in the number of the reports of these things failing, is that thing either going open circuit or short, depending on the particular failure mode. And any readings on the switch. It's got one of these, I think some silicone or something, little dust cover just to keep crap out of the switch internals. Let's see. Ben, nice name brand parts there, he said facetiously. Allegedly 14 amperes at 125 volts. The safety factor is a bit on that. 16 amperes at 36 volts, which is yeah. Typical Harbor Freight quality, or lack thereof. Oh, one last thing about the thing that's a bit on the dubious side is somewhat chintzy terminal block on the input. And you can see the bit of a chunk was taken out of it there. It looks like the protection hole for that one, or surround thing for that one screw is a bit melted there. Looks like this terminal block is made out of something like polystyrene, I don't know. That's just from the texture and the appearance what I guess it is. Ordinarily, these kinds of terminal blocks, these are typical Euro-style things, which are about one of the only European wiring practices that I actually approve of. It's actually really good terminal block design. Ordinarily, you'd expect it to be made out of something like nylon, like these ones are. These ones are also generic no name, but they're substantially higher quality than that crap. So yeah.